Hey guys, Jack here from Peach, and today I want to walk you through some of the body sizes from Taylor and kind of give you an idea of what each of them will give you in your tone. But before I do so, I just want to remind you to like this video if you enjoy it, and to make sure that you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Okay, so there are no shortage of videos on our channel where we're talking about Taylor guitars and why I think they're some of the best made modern guitars that you could possibly pick up if you're looking in the acoustic guitar world. Basically, there's something for every kind of player out there, and that's what makes Taylor guitars so special, is that as they're quite a recent company compared to some of their competition, they've really focused on the elements that players are looking for in guitars, right the way up to the most modern, contemporary kind of styles. Taylor will offer a model that will suit you if that's what you're looking for. What's interesting is in recent years Taylor have also focused backwards, and they've started to look at guitar design from the kind of classic designs of the 30s and 40s, and to try and incorporate some of those elements into certain models. So what I wanted to do today was break down pretty much every different body size and style that they currently have on offer in their catalogue, and talk you through why I think certain body sizes and styles would be more appropriate for specific kind of players. So as I always like to do with these acoustic guitar comparisons, before I delve into the specifics of each model, I want to do a back-to-back comparison so you can hear the tonal properties of each body style. Okay, so hopefully by hearing the exact same thing on all of these guitars, you'll get an idea of what the body size and tone wood combinations are doing to the tone. Now I want to get started in talking about the specifics of each guitar. Okay, so I'd like to start here with the GS Mini, and this is not only one of the most popular models of Taylor guitars, this is one of the most popular models of guitars in the world. It's found favour with so many different kinds of players, from beginners to seasoned players who are just looking for a very comfortable guitar to use at home or to do some home recording with. The GS Mini has been available now for several years in several different guises as well. So these guitars are made up of different laminates that basically just make an aesthetic difference to each guitar. There is a tonal impact as well, but the main focus is on the aesthetic, and this one, the Koa edition, I think is by far the most appealing in the GS Mini range. So a couple of kind of significant features to the GS Mini is obviously the shorter scale. The idea behind this guitar was just to completely downscale the Grand Symphony model. I'm going to talk a little bit later in this video about the standard Grand Symphony model, and I think that in the sound clips you're going to hear of this guitar, you're probably going to be able to tell that in comparison to the larger model, it does basically just minimize some of the properties that that guitar has. So there's no kind of compromise. The best thing about the GS Mini, I think, is that it doesn't necessarily sound like a small guitar because it is modelled on that larger guitar's kind of template and framework. So the other cool thing about the GS Mini is it comes equipped with a very sturdy gig bag, and you've got this fantastic EST pickup with a tuner built in so that you can go out and gig or record very seamlessly. So hopefully what you'll get from this clip is the impression that the GS Mini, despite being the smallest model in the lineup of guitars today, does not necessarily have to sound the smallest in the right context. Okay, so I'm going to move on now to the first of the standard series of Taylor guitars. And what I mean by this is you'll usually see Taylor guitars with a 3-digit kind of numbering system, and that denotes a few different factors of the guitar. The first digit or letter in certain cases will denote the makeup of the guitar's series, and that usually refers to what the back and side bodywood combination is. The middle digit will refer to the top wood used, and then the last digit will refer to the size of the body. So in this case, I've got an 812 CE, the CE obviously standing for cutaway and electronics. And this particular version of the 812 is actually the 12th fret version. So I picked this to represent the grand concert because I think this is kind of the embodiment of the perfect smaller scale concert size guitar. So if you were comparing this to some other brands, you might compare this to maybe a Martin 00 or a Gibson 00. But I think the Grand Concert is a little bit more versatile than those guitars. Because you've basically got the same kind of framework and body style as their larger guitars, as I said with the GS Mini, this guitar kind of just acts like a slight minimization of those tones. So what you find with this guitar, and particularly the 12th fret version, is there's a lot of warmth, a lot of low mid content that comes out of this guitar. It's incredibly comfortable to play, and you also benefit from having a slightly shorter scale of 24 and 7/8 inches on the scale length, and that just means that you can kind of practice fingerstyle techniques. You can also strum quite comfortably on this guitar, and as is usually the case with these smaller bodied instruments, they respond really well to having a capo further up the neck. Right, so being an 800 series instrument, this particular Grand Concert comes with Indian rosewood for the back and sides, coupled with a spruce top. On these 12 fret guitars, you also get the really gorgeous and ornate slotted headstock as well, which I think really adds a lot of character to the guitar. It does also change the sound slightly. I think it adds a little bit more top end than the regular kind of headstock design. Okay, so moving on to the next body size up, and this is definitely the placeholder in all of Taylor's guitar series. This model is the Grand Auditorium, and it's by far the most popular body size that they have in their standard collection. Now I wanted to represent this model as best as I possibly could, so I've actually got two guitars that are Grand Auditorium sized, and from the standard series I've picked the best model I possibly could to show you as well. This is a 914 CE. So the 900 series is the top line of Taylor's standard guitar production alongside the Koa lineup. And this guitar basically slots in before you get to the Builder's Editions and the Presentation series. So the Grand Auditorium is basically the slap bang in the middle body size for Taylor guitars, and it's the most popular guitar size for a very good reason. This is very well suited to all kind of styles of playing, so you can easily get some great strumming sounds out of this guitar, you can get some great finger picking sounds out of this guitar, and every tone that you try and approach, the instrument will just replicate it in a very natural sounding form. The 914 version of this guitar, I think, is one of the best balanced acoustic guitar tones you'll find for every one of those styles I just talked about. You get a lot of strong mid-range content which makes all the notes really pop out, and the 900 series, I think the appointments of this series really work well with this body size and style. It's one of the most balanced sounding guitars. It's got a lot of top end content as well, but it's got a substantial amount of low frequencies as well. So basically any style you go for, this guitar will be there to serve you. These also benefit from the fact that you usually see any of Taylor's guitars with a cutaway, and of course with electronics built in as well. So having the Venetian cutaway on this guitar just makes it very easy to get access to the high frets. The V-Class system as well, which I'm not going to talk about too much in this video, but I've talked about a ton in other Taylor guitars video. That really excels on an instrument like this, where you can basically cover all ground, not only stylistically, but you can cover every fret on this instrument and know that your tone is going to be consistent, very solid, and very stable and balanced. So the 900 series has the same wood combination as the 800 series I talked about before, with Indian rosewood back and sides and a spruce top. But there are a few crucial differences that make the 900 series slightly more premium. Okay, so moving up one more size now to the Grand Symphony model. So the Grand Symphony is just a step up from the Grand Auditorium that I talked about before. And what you gain with this model is obviously a lot more depth of tone. It's still quite a versatile guitar though, and if you kind of favour dreadnoughts and larger style instruments, you'll be very much at home on this guitar. It's really a strumming workhorse. You can also get a lot of nice fingerstyle tones out of it. But this particular 616 model with a maple back and sides, I think really excels at pushing forward strong sounding chords that also sound really well balanced. They don't mush out, and it's got some nice kind of tonal properties similar to that of a Gibson SJ200, that kind of very strong, tight, bright and focused sound that an instrument of this size works really well with. Okay, so I want to move now to the newest body size addition to Taylor's lineup. This is the Grand Pacific, and this is obviously making reference to classic slope shoulder dreadnought designs. Now Taylor have had dreadnought designs before, which has been denoted by an O as the model number, but this is a 7 for the Grand Pacific, and I think that this new body size and style refers back to those 30s and 40s classic designs that I referenced at the top of this video. So if you're the kind of player that has often favoured a more vintage sounding instrument and a vintage feeling instrument, what you get with the Grand Pacific model is the perfect marriage of the kind of modern technologies and purveying techniques that Andy Powers has instilled in the modern V-class designs of Taylor's guitars, but you also get that married up with the tonal sensibilities of classic guitars. So this acts and sounds just like a vintage dreadnought style instrument would, but with a lot more horsepower and player-friendly features under the hood. This particular Grand Pacific model is a 300 series guitar, which comes equipped with sapele wood back and sides and a spruce top. Okay, so this is another Grand Auditorium guitar, but I wanted to use this as a gateway to tell you about what the Builder's Edition guitars signify. So Andy Powers, head luthier at Taylor Guitars, has his line called the Builder's Edition, which is basically, and has been for some years, his playground where he can try out new ideas that he thinks will be best suited to certain types of players. So this guitar is a K26ce, and it builds on a lot of the foundations that make up existing standard line models like the 914 I showed you before and other K-series guitars. But what makes the Builder's Edition model slightly different is the fact that they all come with the new silent satin finish, which means it's a lot more player friendly. You don't get any kind of squeaks if you're recording, which is actually very useful. And it also applies to the finishing on the neck, which I think is a lot more comfortable sometimes than gloss finishes on the neck. You also get a couple of features like having an extended beveled cutaway. These guitars also come with the standard V-class system of the bracing, which actually was introduced first of all in these Builder's Edition guitars. So they're kind of quite pioneering models for Taylor guitars, and this is really where you see a lot of innovation happening. This particular K14 I think sounds absolutely fantastic, and it marries up as quite a nice partner to the 914 I showed you earlier. Whereas that guitar's got a slightly stronger mid-range character, this one sounds a lot more balanced, and I think is a lot more tonally balanced overall, whether you're fingerstyle playing or playing heavy chords. With the Builder's Edition guitars as well, you also see a couple of ornate kind of pieces of information that have been added in, like the gold Goto tuners and this stunning vine inlay as well. It's also worth just pointing out that this guitar is available with either a 2 or a 3-piece koa back. This guitar that we've got has a 3-piece back, and it makes for one of the most stunning all-round aesthetic guitar designs I've ever seen. Okay, so I want to round things off with this, which kind of takes the place of another Grand Symphony model. This is another Grand Symphony body size. But this guitar actually adds something that's new and unique for 2020, which is basically a revision to the Grand Symphony body by addition of this new Soundport cutaway that Andy Powers debuted on this guitar for 2020, along with an 816 Builder's Edition guitar as well. So what you get with this is kind of the best of all worlds. It's got the tonal characteristic thanks to the koa of being very sweet and balanced, actually a little bit scooped in the mid-range. You've got the oversized Grand Symphony body style, which adds a little bit more depth of tone in the low frequencies and extended range in the high frequencies. And then thanks to this new Soundport cutaway design, it's intended to give you a slight stronger mid-range for single note lines as well. And just for a quick clarification on the naming of this guitar, you've got K, which refers to it being a koa series guitar. The 2 as the second digit refers to the fact that it's a koa top, as opposed to the 1 denoting a spruce top, and then the 6 denoting the fact that it's a Grand Symphony body style. So that's it for today. I hope this video serves as a useful guide to the differences in Taylor's body designs, styles and sizes. So whatever you're looking for, or whatever kind of size of instrument you feel comfortable with, you can rest assured that there'll be a Taylor guitar that will be very comfortable to play, but won't give up anything in terms of its sonic versatility. So if you want any more information on these Taylor guitars or any of the other Taylor guitars that we carry, you can find out all that information at peachguitars.com. So thank you so much as always for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have, please leave us a like down below and comment down there with your thoughts as well. Let me know which of the body sizes is your personal favourite, which one you get on best with. So thank you for watching as always, stay tuned and I'll see you next time.